Welcome to this overview of the FSVP Product Approval Questionnaire. This presentation will take you through the Global Import Agent FSVP process and ensure that you know what to expect. In this FSVP Approval Process overview, we will review what the FSVP process is and who is responsible, how the FSVP approval process works, what we need you to do, how to log in and use the system, and how to contact us for support. We look forward to working with you. What is FSVP? FSVP is an acronym which stands for Foreign Supplier Verification Program. FSVP is a compliance requirement on the US-based importer or FSVP agent to ensure that food imported to the US is manufactured to the same food safety standards that US-based food producers are required to operate to. FSVP is defined under US law by 21 CFR Part 1, Subpart 1, Subpart L, with the following specific requirements. 1.501 defines the food types which are covered by FSVP. 1.502 details the requirement to have an FSVP in place and who must comply. 1.503 defines that FSVP must be documented by a qualified individual who is experienced and qualified to do so. In other words, they must be a food safety specialist or expert. 1.504 sets out the rules for which hazard analysis must be conducted by the qualified individual and how to do this. 1.505 provides the rules for how a foreign supplier must be evaluated from a safety performance point of view. 1.506 defines the rules on what kind of verification activities must take place on the foreign supplier's food safety activities. 1.507 provides the rules on food safety hazards which are controlled after the import to the USA. 1.508 are the rules on corrective actions which are taken in the case where a foreign supplier is not compliant with the rules under FSVP. The responsibility for FSVP is always with the US-based importer or consignee who has purchased or agreed to purchase an imported food at the point of entry into the USA, i.e. at US Customs. Where there is no US-based importer or consignee, i.e. where the foreign supplier or owner of the food product is outside the US, then a US-based FSVP agent must be in place to implement FSVP by law. For more information on FSVP, please search on Google for 21 CFR Part 1, Subpart 1, Subpart L. FSVP is required to ensure that foreign suppliers operate to the same food safety rules that US food suppliers are expected to operate to under the US Food Safety Modernization Act. The US-based importer or consignee who has agreed to purchase the food product at the point of entry into the US is responsible by law for FSVP to the FDA. When there is no consignee, an FSVP agent may be appointed and the FSVP must be documented and made available to the FDA when an FSVP inspection is scheduled by the FDA. The FSVP process involves reviewing the food safety hazards and risks, provided all food safety hazards have been identified and are being controlled. The product then may be approved for import into the USA. Verification activities must be identified and carried out on the foreign supplier and corrective actions put in place, and everything must be documented for later FDA inspection of the importer or the US-based FSVP agent. The process begins with information gathering and the manufacturer, in other words the foreign supplier, must provide product information, and specifically the food safety information related to the product must be provided for assessment by a qualified individual. The information then undergoes a rigorous food safety review by a PCQI, or a Preventive Controls Qualified Individual, and the manufacturer's food safety management systems, certification, allergen controls, and product label are all checked to ensure that they are in compliance with the US food safety rules under FSVP. An FSVP assessment involves a detailed review of all documentation to ensure that all food safety hazards can be verified as being controlled. A risk assessment will also take place, and verification activities should be identified and implemented. Corrective actions may be identified during this process, and everything is documented for later FDA inspection. Our FSVP process is designed to be thorough, and the documentation for FDA is then filed for a later FDA inspection. To assess the FSVP, we must first make sure that we know who the foreign supplier is. This may not always be the brand owner of a food product, but is always the last entity who processed the food to control food safety hazards. Next, we need to make sure that the manufacturer or foreign supplier is registered with the US FDA. If they are not registered with the FDA, it is not possible to import their products, as an FDA registration number must be provided to US Customs, and this will be checked to ensure that it is legitimate and valid. As mentioned previously, all product and food safety documentation will be reviewed, especially the food safety information, such as the HACCP, Hazard Analysis Critical Control Points, or the Preventive Controls Food Safety Plan. In addition, the manufacturer's good manufacturing procedures and how traceability and product recalls are managed are also checked. Once everything is checked, it is then risk assessed, and then a hazard evaluation by a Preventive Controls Qualified Individual must then take place and be documented. Once everything has been reviewed, assessed and documented, the product may then be approved for import into the US by the US importer or by the FSVP agent. Our FSVP process is conducted through our 3i Verify compliance portal. This makes the process efficient, easy to understand and transparent, in addition to providing an online and documented record of the process. We start by sending an FSVP approval questionnaire. Then the foreign supplier or foreign manufacturer will typically upload the requested information into the portal. We will then review, assess, document, and check if all is well, and will approve the product for import into the USA. When your product is approved, you may then legally import your products to the USA. If we have any questions or require additional information during the process, we may ask for feedback or additional information. The foreign supplier, brand owner, or manufacturer should then respond to this feedback and upload any additional information or answer our questions. Everything will be logged in our 3i Verify Food Safety Compliance portal for the FDA audit trail and later inspection, so that everything is documented. Please note that the term foreign supplier used by the FDA in the Foreign Supplier Verification Program refers to the establishment that manufactures or processes the food, raises the animal, or grows the food that is exported to the United States without further manufacturing or processing by another establishment, except for further manufacturing or processing that consists solely of the addition of a label or similar activity of a de minimis nature. This means that labelling or other minimal activity is not the foreign supplier. Our FSVP approval process starts with an email that you will receive to the nominated technical contact on the account. This will be like the one shown on screen. If you have not received this, please check your spam or junk folder in your email account and make sure that you whitelist the email address it comes from by adding the email address to your address book and/or selecting Trusted Sender. How you do this will vary depending on your email provider. When you locate the email, simply click on the link in the email to log into the 3i Verify portal. When you click on the link, this page will be displayed. At that point, a second email containing the one-time passcode or OTP will be sent to your email to ensure that you can log in securely into the system. You may request a direct login. Please email us for this if this is your preferred way to log into our compliance portal. This is what the OTP email looks like. Simply copy and paste the OTP into the web browser and you will be logged into the system. This will create a trusted connection for the PC or device you are logged in on, and you won't need to enter another OTP unless you are using an incognito or private browsing window in your browser. Once you log in, you'll be taken directly to the FSVP Approval Questionnaire. This is what the FSVP Approval Questionnaire looks like when you first log in. We have the supplier details page with the supplier details and contact details at the supplier. At the bottom of each page, you will see a Save and Next button. The Next button also saves the information which you have entered into the page. On the left, you can see the section menu of the FSVP Approval Questionnaire. We're going to walk through each of these sections. The most important section is the Submit section. When you've completed all of your information, you must go to this section and submit the FSVP Approval Questionnaire to us so we can be notified that it is ready for review. Note also that on the left menu you can see the questionnaire list page. This will take you to a list of all questionnaires which you may have been issued. There is also a feedback summary page. We'll talk more about feedback later, but all questions and answers that are requested will be in the feedback summary. And then finally we have the Home button, which can help you reach the main menu of the Supplier Compliance Management portal. To get started, simply check and enter the supplier details. If you're a brand owner or an importer of branded goods or wholesaler, there may also be a manufacturer tab which requires completion. Remember that we must assess the actual manufacturer's food safety systems under an FSVP product approval. When you've completed the supplier details, click the Next button to be taken forward to the contact details. Similar to the supplier details, make sure that you check the contact details. Be aware that if you change the email address of the technical contact, then this user will receive the one-time passcode next time the login is attempted. When you have checked and updated everything, click on the Next button to proceed to the next section. Note that you can also change your password in the top right hand side of the page header. You may also log out from here as well. If you want to log in with a username and password instead of an OTP, contact us for the credentials and we will send them to you so you can log in directly with a password. The next section of the FSVP approval is the Introduction section. This is present to give some background on what this questionnaire is for and to set the scene on what we require. The actual introduction section may not be exactly the same as the one shown as we update this over time to improve it. Simply read this and scroll to the bottom of the page and click the Next button or click on the Next section using the menu on the left. The next section is the FSVP Procedure section. This forms part of our written procedures for FSVP, which is a requirement of FDA. Please read the information and scroll to the bottom of the page and click the Next button. The Product Details section is where we begin documenting the details of the product or products covered under this FSVP assessment. It is possible to include multiple products in an FSVP, provided that they are all covered under the same food safety plan and manufactured in the same facility. If this is the case, you can enter additional product varieties, for example different pack sizes or flavourings, as long as they're covered under the same food safety plan in the FSVP Additional Products text area. We would also like you to upload a copy of your product specification, and there is an area for you to upload this. The product specification should detail the ingredients and product characteristics, and particularly the microbiological and chemical standards as a minimum. On scrolling down the page, we would like you to enter the product description and legal name. This is the general name of the product rather than the branded name. FDA calls this the statement of identity. For example, pasteurized milk, coffee, tea, etc. would be good examples of the legal name or statement of identity. In the ingredient declaration text area, please enter the ingredients in order of the largest amount to the smallest amount present in the product. Finally, in this section, provide details on how the product is stored and any special temperatures, etc. When you've completed the required fields, click the Next button to proceed and move to the next section. The certification section is where we would like you to upload any food safety certification you may have. Whilst this is not a requirement for FDA, it does give us an excellent verification activity which makes the FSVP approval process easier and simpler, especially when the food safety audit report can also be provided to support this certification. In addition, if the manufacturer is FDA registered and has an FDA inspection report, then a copy of the last FDA inspection report is another important verification activity which helps us speed up the approval process. After uploading the requested documentation, please scroll to the bottom of the page and click the Next button to move to the next section. The food safety section is the most important section in the FSVP product approval questionnaire. Here we absolutely must have the HACCP process flow diagram and full hazard analysis showing the critical control points, which documents how food safety hazards are being controlled. You may also, as an alternative, upload a preventive controls food safety plan instead. If you cannot provide a HACCP or preventive controls food safety plan, then we may not be able to approve the foreign supplier under an FSVP product approval. Instead, we may need to create a preventive controls food safety plan, and this is more time consuming, costs more, and requires the foreign supplier to sign off that they have implemented all of the controls required in the preventive controls food safety plan. Next, we need you to provide us with the name and contact details of the person responsible for food safety at the foreign supplier, as we need to ensure that they are experienced and sufficiently qualified. On scrolling down the food safety page, you will see that there are certain food safety verification documents that we would like to be uploaded. For example, we are particularly interested in verifying the microbiological and chemical certificates of analysis for the product, so we can demonstrate that it is safe and that these important checks are being carried out. In addition, we would also like to see the training certification of the person responsible for food safety or the person who created the food safety plan. There is also an area here for uploading additional documentation. When you have uploaded all the information, please scroll to the bottom of the page and click the Next button to move on to the next section. The allergen section ensures that we have checked the foreign supplier's product and production situation for all US allergens. These may be different from the allergens in your country, so it's important to check this and verify that the product is properly labelled for US allergens to protect the US consumer and comply with FDA rules. Please note that some US allergens, where present, require the specific species of the source of the allergen to be declared. For example, you may need to declare the specific species of fish or crustaceans, etc. We would like you to indicate if each allergen is contained in the product and or handled in the manufacturing facility by selecting yes or no, and to assess the risk of cross-contact or cross-contamination and how the allergen risk is being controlled. Now please upload your allergen control procedure and risk assessment, which you should have if there are any allergens being handled on site. If you do not handle allergens, please state this in the comments. When you have completed the information request on this page, click the next button to move to the next section. Under FSVP, we are also required to check that all additives and ingredients are GRAS. This means generally recognised as safe. Please add all additives that are flavourings and colourings and processing aids like emulsifiers, bulking agents, etc. to the list and use the links to check the GRAS status. Don't worry if you cannot determine the GRAS status of each additive, as we will check this also and let you know if we believe there are any issues. When you're done, scroll to the bottom of the page and click the next button to move to the next section. The second last section is to document how you code your batch lot number and to upload your traceability and recall procedure. If you have had any product details in the past 5 years, please upload a letter detailing this and a note of what corrective action was taken to ensure that this cannot happen again. This should ideally be on company letterhead paper and be signed by a suitable manager in charge. When you've completed this section, scroll to the bottom of the page and click the next button to get to the Submit for Approval page. The Submit for Approval section is where you will sign off on the information that you have entered and uploaded into the system. Read and complete the warranty statement checkboxes and enter the signatory name, job title, company name and sign-off date. When all is completed, click the Submit for Approval button to notify your PCQI that the FSVP product approval is ready for review. Our PCQI will then schedule time to review the FSVP product approval and conduct his or her evaluation and verification activities. Please note that this may take some days to complete, as there are many checks and other pieces of documentation that we need to run through and checks that we need to carry out. If our PCQI has any questions or feedback, they will be in touch using the feedback system. The feedback system in 3i Verify Compliance Portal allows two-way communication and provides a record of the conversation with respect to the FSVP. This means that you can ask questions on anything you require clarification for and that we can respond and vice versa. To send a feedback request, simply click on the Add Feedback button and enter your question in the box provided and save it. This will send an email notification to your PCQI, who will respond in due course. Likewise, we may also send feedback requests to you and you will receive a notification and can respond in the system. Sometimes we may unlock a section of the questionnaire to enable you to correct something or upload additional information. We also do this through the feedback system. Thank you for taking the time to review this FSVP product approval onboarding presentation. Don't forget to check your email to learn who your PCQI is and feel free to reach out to introduce yourself. If you need an online session to review anything, you can contact your PCQI and arrange a suitable time to do this on Teams or Zoom.